right, I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone to this meeting of the Southeastern Massachusetts Metropolitan Planning Organization. My name is Derek Cravat, representing MassDOT Secretary and CEO. Monica Tibbetts not here, out of service chair today. We will start with the first item, which is just a call to order and roll call. Andrea, will you be reading the roll today?
Yep. So MassDOT Chair.
Yep, Derek Cravat here, representing our Secretary, Monica Tibbetts-Nutt.
Attleboro.
Okay.
Fall River.
Here. Next year.
New Bedford.
We will be going through like 3 years worth of.
Taunton.
Here.
MassDOT Administrator.
Rich Bilski, representing Administrator Jonathan Gulliver.
Mansfield.
Here.
Somerset. Carver. Wareham.
Here.
SRPEDD Commission Chair. SRTA.
Shane Trimble, representing Administrator Eric Roussel.
Gatra.
Here.
Thank you. And then our non-voting members ex officio. Is there anyone from Federal Highway here today?
Joshua Barber with Federal Highway.
Thank you, Joshua. The FTA Deputy Regional Administrator, do they have any reps here today?
Yes, Kirsty Hostetter with FTA Region 1.
Thank you, Christy. And is the JTPG Planning Group Chair here today? Victoria? No. All right, all set, Derek.
All right, thanks, Andrea, and welcome everybody. We'll move on to the next item, which is approval of minutes from March 19th, 2024. I'll ask for a motion and second to approve these minutes, and please state your name for the record when making a motion.
Mary Ellen DeFrias moved the minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Dan Aguirre.
All right, thank you. Motion having been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on the minutes? All right, seeing none, go ahead and call the roll, Andrea.
MassDOT Chair.
Yes.
Fall River.
Yes.
Taunton.
Yes.
MassDOT Administrator.
Yes.
Mansfield.
Yes.
Wareham.
Yes.
SRTA.
Yes.
Gatra.
Yes.
And then is there anyone who came in later that I missed? I think we're okay. All right, all set. Derek, thanks.
Everyone, next item is public comment. Is there anyone present that would like to make a public comment at this time? Right, seeing none. I do see something in the chat about sending the recording to LakeCAM TV, so can certainly do that, David. But I don't see any hands for public comments, so at this time, I'll move on to next item, which is Regional Transit Authority updates. Can start with Gatra, Mary Ellen.
Sure. So we are actively watching the budget process unfold at the state level to see where the RTAs will end up for funding. I'm feeling pretty good about that right now, but we'll see what happens. The Senate version comes out in May. Right now, we have switched over all of our ADA paratransit and microtransit to the SPARE platform. We've been running on that for about a month or so now, and we've gotten some really positive feedback from both the passengers and the drivers. So we think that will help both allow us to increase what we are able to offer, as well as operate more efficiently on that. Gatch has been working with MassDOT and our contractor AECom to revamp and update the Ride Match website. The new version of this site is now live and has a cleaner design. It's fully integrated with Google Transit search results and is completely accessible. And then the last thing is our next regional public meeting for feedback on the June 1st schedule changes will be held April 25th. You can reach out to me if you have any questions.
Great. Thanks, Marielle. Any questions? No, don't see any. With that, we can move to Shane for SRTA update.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, a lot of what Mary Ellen said of, we're also watching the budget and, very helpful with what we saw coming out of the governor's proposed budget. It looks like it carries forward the elevated funding that has, brought us the fare-free pilot service we're under right now, and also the Sunday service we're operating. So we're hopeful that that will continue. And we are also having a public meeting May 1st and May 2nd to garner feedback from the public on Sunday service, on the fare-free pilot, and also on some very minor service changes proposed in Fall River. Those changes are proposed for sometime in June. I think I forget the exact date that the service would go into effect. But these are kind of the follow-up changes to the big suite of changes we made in the fall. These are much more minor, mostly just alignment corrections. And that's pretty much it for us.
Thanks, Shane. Any questions for Shane? All right. Thanks. We'll move on to the next item, which is the Beyond Mobility Long-Range Transportation Plan from MassDOT. So that's actually something I'll be presenting. So I can go ahead and share my screen if that's all right here. And no, a few folks were on the old Colony MPO this morning, so this is maybe a repeat for folks, but that were on that. But happy to share this today on the statewide long-range transportation plan, which we're developing now and is actually out for public review and comments. So that's why I'm here today, just to present on this, to get the word out and make you all aware of what's in the plan, and let you know how to comment on that. So can folks just confirm you can see this okay? You can see my screen. Okay, great. Thumbs up. So just for background, we are required by federal law to develop a statewide long-range transportation plan. Our last one was updated in 2014, and the current plan is called Beyond Mobility. We are thinking of this as, the title of the plan reflects, our sort of thinking that transportation is about more than just mobility for the sake of mobility. It's about providing people with access to opportunities, and really, getting to where you want and need to go. So that's sort of a quick note on the title of the plan here. And the plan, again, is currently out for public comment until May 31st. So you can view the full plan on the website listed there, mass.gov/beyond-mobility. And you can view the plan and how to comment, and I'll get back to that at the end as well. But this is a really important plan for us at MassDOT. This is our 15th year as a unified transportation agency. We formed back in 2009, kind of combining a handful of other agencies like Mass Highway, the Turnpike Authority, the Registry, kind of all under one roof. So our secretary and undersecretary are kind of using the MassDOT at 15 kind of strategy to really reflect the administration's priorities when it comes to transportation. And the three items that fall under MassDOT at 15 are Beyond Mobility, which is the vision for the future of transportation in Massachusetts, as kind of we're documenting in Beyond Mobility. The other components of MassDOT at 15 are the strategic business plan. This is something that our secretary's office is developing now. This will define kind of staffing needs, especially given funding from the infrastructure law at the federal level, what we need to do to make sure we're using all of that and implementing the vision. And the third component of MassDOT at 15 is the Transportation Funding Task Force. This is something that the governor has developed, and our secretary is the chair of, and has a number of other folks have been appointed. So this group will be meeting monthly throughout the year to talk about funding needs for transportation statewide, as well as for the MBTA, to define what is needed to kind of advance the next generation of transportation projects and policies in Massachusetts. So taken together, kind of MassDOT at 15, where Beyond Mobility is really what MassDOT does and the vision for the future. The business plan is kind of who we are and our workforce, and then the task force is really how we are going to pay for changes going forward. Beyond Mobility is, again, it's a strategic plan. This diagram here on this slide was pulled, I think, from a really helpful kind of federal highway training that looked at kind of the relationship between strategic planning, goal setting, performance measures, and then kind of investment plans and programs and projects. So this plan really sort of defines a framework and strategy for how we should be kind of categorizing investments and looking at which new policies and priorities we need to be addressing. And then from that, different projects and programs and performance measures will flow. So it'll become a little clearer as I define what's in the plan, but I think that's helpful just to kind of set the tone that this is a statewide vision that we've developed at MassDOT, but the coordination with MPOs, with municipalities, with other state agencies is really critical to make sure everything is consistent and we're implementing the ideas from this plan. So with respect to how we've gone about developing this plan, we did extensive kind of public involvement. We went out to a variety of places across the state. We heard over 5,000 pieces of unique feedback through surveys, community activations, which were kind of like pop-up events where we promoted the survey, which you can see a photo of here on the side. We also worked within MassDOT and MBTA, and of course with our regional partners to look at their long-range transportation plan updates, which of course were done last year, including the one for Southeast Mass. So we took all of that information and we really tried to define what the priorities and visions were for the future of transportation. And we felt all of the kind of challenges people are facing and needs really fall under these 6 kind of categories, which we're calling the priority areas for the plan. So those are safety, kind of reliability, that refers to travel time reliability or predictability of travel time, supporting clean transportation, destination connectivity, resiliency, and travel experience, because these all sort of serve as a structure of Beyond Mobility. And then we're considering social and geographic equity and financial and staffing resources as 2 cross-cutting themes that really underlie all 6 of these areas. So you'll see the document is really structured by these. Each of these areas in the plan has a vision statement, a set of value statements, a set of problem statements and key facts, and then a set of action items. So the plan has over 100 action items that flow directly from those problems and vision statements that kind of direct MassDOT, MBTA, and our planning partners to perform a variety of different tasks to really respond to the challenges that we're hearing when it comes to transportation in the state. So the next few slides just highlight a problem statement and then a corresponding action item from each of the 6 priority areas. So when it comes to safety, our quantified problem statement is that we know 142 of the top 200 pedestrian crash cluster locations are in environmental justice communities, right? So this is a statewide problem. This is something we heard both through the data and also when we did our public engagement, that there's a lot of concern when it comes to safety, particularly in our gateway cities and EJ areas that we know there's been historic disinvestment in, and that I think need additional funds to sort of make areas safer. So our corresponding action item here is to build a bench of projects that really address safety in these areas and make sure we have a dedicated program in our capital investment plan kind of targeting safety improvements in environmental justice communities. Right now, we just have safety improvements program that isn't as targeted. So our idea is to build this bench of projects in coordination with municipalities to really make sure we are addressing that issue again, that these crashes are very much disproportionately concentrated in EJ communities. When it comes to reliability, we heard that people feel like there's definitely a lot of concerns with reliability right now, kind of just knowing how long it will take you to get from point A to point B, whether that's for work or just when you're traveling during a time where there's a lot of traffic or on transit. We know there's been a lot of delays in slow zones and such. And so, our problem statement here looks at, people have to plan for commutes taking up to 8 times longer. We use a system known, or I guess, a technique called a planning time index that looks at kind of how long people need to plan based on travel times. And that's, consistently people are kind of experiencing travel times that are 8 times longer than they are during normal or free float times during the peak period. So our action items here have to do with working with our RTA and transit partners to make sure we're collaborating on kind of roadway projects that encourage transit, whether that's bus priority, signal priority, transit signal priority, and other kinds of improvements. So that's one area. It's just improved coordination between our kind of highway and transit agencies. And then secondly, we're kind of codifying here that we are going to be studying roadway pricing or congestion pricing at the state level, right? We know this is happening in New York, and it's happening elsewhere globally as well. This has been something that has been discussed a lot, and I think in response to this issue of I think having some of the worst congestion in the state, and also given the funding needs for transportation in general, right? Then this is something that the task force I mentioned is looking into as well, but we're kind of just stating it here as a starting point so we understand what the tools are to address this issue. So it's something that we're proposing in the plan. Clean transportation, we're documenting that we know transportation is the largest contributor of carbon emissions, and that these again are disproportionately concentrated in environmental justice areas. So we're restating a lot of the electrification targets that have already been set through plans like the Clean Energy and Climate Plan, and through other means, working kind of in direct coordination with our partners at the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. Already done a lot of work on clean transportation and what we need. So that's one area. Something we are saying in the plan that's a little bit newer is that we're calling for a study that will identify areas that might be kind of primed for land use or zoning reform to encourage kind of more transit-oriented development, housing, et cetera, to sort of align climate goals, transportation, and community development in that sense. And so especially with expanded passenger rail happening, whether that's through East-West Rail, the Northern Tier, obviously South Coast Rail, there may be locations that we need to be looking at that sort of better align land use and sort of transportation needs, to look at where we might be able to develop more transit-oriented development and housing. On destination connectivity, we know that environmental justice areas have fewer planned bike and pedestrian facilities and projects than other communities, even though these same areas have the most potential for everyday walking and biking, according to our pedestrian and biking plans at MassDOT. So that's to say that these areas tend to be a bit more dense. There's more potential for kind of walkability, but there's fewer planned projects in those areas. So we're calling for, again, a dedicated program in our capital investment plan that will really prioritize a list of multimodal projects that provide better access to MBTA bus stops or regional transit authority bus stops, with a focus on, again, just making sure we're filling in the sidewalk network and protected separated bicycle network to really connect those places. On resiliency, we know that transportation is, of course, our infrastructure is exposed to natural hazards. This photo here is from a storm this last fall, which probably recall that hit north central Massachusetts really hard up in Fitchburg and Leominster, that washed away significant portions of roadway. So there's already a lot of work happening at the state level on resiliency. There's the Resilient Mass Plan that was released. The Climate Chiefs report has a lot of information about what's happening with respect to resiliency and performing vulnerability assessments and things like that. So we're stating all of that. We're stating the sort of number of facilities or roadway miles and transit stops that are kind of at risk of flooding in the plan. And we're calling for an action here to coordinate with our state partners to really look at where MassDOT might be able to help needs documented in municipal vulnerability preparedness sort of programs at the local level. And then the last priority area here is just travel experience. So this is something we heard quite a lot in our public outreach, that people with disabilities and people who do not speak English as a first language really reported a significant need, far more than other groups, to have improved wayfinding signage and information that can assist sort of understand what the options are. And Mary Ellen mentioned Ride Match earlier. That's something that our Rail and Transit Division is really looking to expand and further sort of advance. And then also the regional mobility managers, something our Rail and Transit Division is doing. So kind of just looking at community transportation and particular expanding options for folks. And also here calling for a study that will inventory bus stops and transit stations that lack sufficient signage statewide. And especially when it comes to, if there's a need for translations at those stops and stations, kind of where is there sort of concentration of communities that are limited English proficient, where there's also sort of needs for translated materials and bus stops that may not have that currently. So that's the idea there, is to just sort of follow on that problem with the study. So again, the plan is up now. It's posted on mass.gov/beyond-mobility. You can view the plan. There's also an executive summary and a variety of appendices to the plan. We have a public comment form as well, and that will be available through May 31st, 2024. So we're definitely looking to spread the word, so feel free to share widely, and looking forward to receiving comments there. So that is the last slide, so I'll pause there, and happy to take any questions. All right, I don't see any questions, so I'll go ahead and stop sharing. We can throw the agenda back up. Great, okay. Well, thanks for your attention there. We'll move on to the next item on proposed Transportation Improvement Program Amendment number 5. I will turn it over to Jackie, I believe.
Thank you, Derek. So this was voted on at the last meeting to be released for a public comment day period, and today we're going to ask you to endorse it. Let me just 1 second. So this is for the current TIP, the federal fiscal year 2024 to 2028 TIP. It needs to be amended to remove the Wareham Swift Speech project, as the project will not be ready to be advertised this year. Please note that the project will not be reprogrammed into the 2024-2028 TIP, but will be in the 2025 to 2029 TIP, which you are going to vote on a little bit later. And the removal of this project leads to a larger unallocated balance in 2024, which we have been working with our partners to fill, and hope to discuss potential use of that funding at our next meeting. Also, as part of amendment number 5, the Swansea Route 6 at Gardner's Neck Road project, which is currently programmed in 2024, has had a cost increase. When we originally sent this paperwork out, the cost increase was $662,166. There has been an adjustment since that was sent out. The new cost increase is now 1.7 million. This is a 44% cost increase, give or take. So as it was already out for a cost increase amendment, we're hoping that this is okay with the body. And we recommend that you approve this amendment for endorsement. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jackie. Any questions on the amendment? All right. Seeing none, I will ask for a motion and second to endorse this amendment as presented.
Motion made, Fall River.
Thank you. Is there a
Second, Mansfield.
All right. Motion having been made and seconded, go ahead and call the roll.
MassDOT Chair,
Yes.
Fall River,
Yes.
Taunton,
Yes.
MassDOT Administrator,
Yes.
Mansfield,
Yes.
Wareham. Oh, sorry, I missed Carver.
Yes.
She's here.
Thanks, Sarah. Wareham.
Just again, like I did at the JCPG meeting, I want to be on file that I'm very disappointed in the project being moved due to no cost, no fault of Wareham whatsoever, and never getting an answer from DOT why there was a delay. And I'm going to abstain.
Right, noted, Alan. Thank you.
Thank you.
SRTA
Yes.
and GATRA.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes with one abstention.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, I can certainly look to get a better answer for you, Alan, on that project. We'll talk about that with folks internally.
Good
Thanks,
luck on
Derek.
that one.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next item. I think this is another tip amendment, this time to be released for comment. Is that right?
Yes, this is amendment number 6 to be released for a public comment period. This amendment number 6 proposes a cost increase and change in a project description to the Marion Wareham Bridge replacement over the Weebiantic River. The cost of the project increased by almost 9 million, and for a total of 49,958,000. The project is currently programmed using statewide bridge on system non-National Highway System funds, so it does not affect the regional target. And we're asking the body to vote to release this for a 21-day public comment period.
Motion made, Fall River. Second, Alan Wareham.
All right, motion having been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this amendment?
Yes.
All right, seeing none, go ahead and call the roll.
MassDOT Chair,
Yes.
Fall River,
Yes.
Taunton,
Yes.
MassDOT Administrator,
Yes.
Mansfield,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
and Wareham.
Yes.
SRTA.
Yes.
I think Mary Ellen already left. All set, motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to the next item, which is fiscal year 2025 to 2029 transportation improvement program. I will turn it back over to Jackie.
Thank you, Derek. Good afternoon. I'm going to go through a quick run through of the draft 2025 to 2029 tip that, if approved, would go into effect October 1st of this year. We sent you a link in advance, and we are asking you today to approve the draft for release for a 21-day public comment period. Before we get into project details, I wanted to kind of go through all of what is included in the tip. So typically when we talk about this, we talk about the projects and the project lists, but there's a lot more that goes into the document. We have performance measures, we have information on project development and different policies that affect that. We have information on the overall tip development process, all the public participation that went into the process, project descriptions, equity analysis, which I will touch on a little bit more today. We have a financial plan and information on how adjustments and amendments are also included in here. So I strongly encourage you to look at the full document. When you vote, you are voting on this full document, so you should be familiar with all of the things that go into it. And there also might be some helpful information in there if you're trying to develop a TIP project. We're going to go through project lists today and then a little bit of the equity analysis. I wanted to start with transit. Over the 5 periods covered by the TIP, our 2 regional transit authorities have many projects programmed that range from operating costs, capital projects, microtransit, upgrades to that, short range transit, buses and other equipment. Here's a look at GATRA's list for 2025. Purchase of buses, renovating bus facilities, support equipment. Many things go into running a transit agency, and a lot of those things are covered in the TIP. Here's a look at SRTA's list for 2025, similar items, and many ongoing things for both agencies. Here's page 2 of 2025. Highway projects. At our last meeting, we discussed several scenarios with this body. The body voted on the scenario that we ended up programming, which was scenario 2, which this year we had a lot of projects shuffle due to project readiness and available funding. I'm going to go through each of the 5 years and kind of discuss where things came from and where they moved to. But just know there's a lot that goes into the making of this list, and we really appreciate this body's participation with the development of it too. In 2025, we have the Lakeville reconstruction related work on Rhode Island Road that stayed in the current year, as well as Mansfield School Street project staying where it is. And then 2026 is where things have started to shuffle. The Dartmouth corridor improvements on Route 6, which was formerly the Tucker Road relocation project, that moved from 25 to 26. This is where the Wareham Swiss Beach project ended up from 24 to 26. Norton intersection improvements at West Main Street was in this year, staying in this year. Westport intersection improvements at Route 117 and Roberts Road. This one actually moved up a year. It's kind of a good example of how smaller projects can move more easily in the TIP, and keeping on top of your designers and moving your project through quickly can allow your projects to move up instead of back. I always got to plug that. 2027, we have Plainville reconstruction on Route 1A. That was in 2026, moved to 27. New Bedford intersection improvements at Mount Pleasant and Nash Road. Also slid out a year. Middleborough reconstruction work on Wareham Street and Wood Street stayed in 2027. Although we do expect the cost to go up on that significantly. Mansfield, Chauncey Street, Route 106 is staying in 2027 as well. 2028, Mattapoisett corridor improvements and related work on Main Street was in 2026. Moved to this year, and New Bedford corridor improvements on Tarleton Hill, staying in 28. Wareham Syracuse Path and construction from Narrows Road moved from 28 to 29. Attleboro Route 123, 27 moved to 2029. Dartmouth corridor improvements on Dartmouth Street and Prospect Street was in 27, moved to 29, and we were able to add 2 new projects this year. Which was the scenario that was voted on last year due to a couple projects getting picked up statewide. So the Medford corridor improvements on County Street from Union Street to Camden Street, that's a new project that we're going to add to 2029. And then Dartmouth Crossroad corridor improvements also being added to 29. And then I just wanted to talk a minute about our equity analysis. So as part of the full TIP project that we developed, we map all the projects and determine if they are within or in proximity to underserved populations. For the purpose of this effort, underserved populations include environmental justice and Title VI groups. Environmental justice considers minority and low income poverty populations. Title VI considers limited English proficiency populations, older adults, populations with a disability, as well as populations with limited or no access to a vehicle. So SRPEDD uses this methodology to determine whether projects were distributed in an equitable manner throughout the region and to what degree. So here is a map showing the 25 to 29 projects and their proximity to environmental justice census tracts. We also do the same thing in regard to Title VI. And the results of this analysis this year showed that of the 17 projects included in the 25 to 29 TIP, only 2 do not serve any EJ or Title VI populations. A total of 10 projects serve both EJ and Title VI populations, and 4 serve either EJ or Title VI. To analyze the distribution of TIP projects and funding, SRPEDD determined the number of projects by community, project expenditures, per capita expenditure, as well as the project served as well as if the project served or affected an EJ or Title VI population. The MPO has programmed a total of 6,743 per capita in the region on projects that serve Title EJ or Title VI populations versus 2 projects with a total of 1,802 per capita that do not serve any EJ or Title VI populations in the region. So the anticipated improvements of these projects include bicycle and pedestrian facilities, traffic signals, lighting, drainage infrastructure, better mobility for emergency vehicles, and they are expected to increase safety and access, reduce congestion, and improve system efficiency and infrastructure for all modes while contributing to better air quality and building connections in the region's active networks. SRPEDD's analysis identified no known disparate impacts or disproportionate burdens on EJ or Title VI populations. And we also do a very similar analysis for our transit projects for both GATRA and SRTA. And as shown in these 2 maps, this is GATRA and, oh, sorry, this is environmental justice census tracts with GATRA and SRTA fixed routes. And then we also do it for Title VI. The majority of these populations of concern are served with the current fixed bus routes. I just wanted to highlight that that is a consideration of how projects are funded and distributed, and that we do this analysis to make sure that we are using our funding in an equitable manner. And all I have for today.
Thanks, Jackie. Any questions for Jackie or staff on the draft tip document?
I was looking, this is Alan from Wareham. I was looking at the map, and toward the end of Wareham, where it goes out into the canal and that little piece going out, we have Indian Neck, Great Neck, Burgess Point, etc. These are all areas where we have multimillionaires living. There is no poverty. There is no minority. So if you look at the map closely where that little line sticks out into Buzzards Bay, that's a barrier line where you're going, yep, with a canal. There's no housing there at all, of course. But if you go farther up a little bit, go back down right at the end of where the line goes in, and go in, in the area over to the right more, sorry. Right. My right, your left probably. Yeah, right in that area, all through there. Those are, just so you know, those are homes that are multi-million-dollar homes all through there. There is nothing low price. There is nothing minority, poverty, etc. Just so you know.
Thank you for that information. And I think it's important to clarify that this information is by census tract. So even if portions of the census tract have different characteristics than the other, this is the most granular available data that we have.
I know. I'm just trying to give you a heads up.
I appreciate that, Alan. Thank you very much for pointing that out. There's always it's always you do the best you can with the data that you have available, and that's that's what we do.
I'm sure the people would love to have extra money.
Other questions? Thank you. All right. Don't see any. So at this time, I'll ask for a motion and second to release the draft 25-29 tip out for a public review and comment period.
Alan, motion so made.
Second, Fall River.
All right. Thank you both. Motion having been made and seconded, go ahead and call the roll.
MassDOT Chair,
Yes.
Fall River,
Yes.
Taunton. I think Jay might have left already. MassDOT Administrator,
Yes.
Mansfield,
Yes.
Carver,
Yes.
Wareham,
Yes.
SRTA,
Yes.
and that's it. So the motion passes unanimously
Great.
to release
Thank
the
you,
tip.
everyone. Awesome. And yeah, no, it's a lot of work every year. So great job, Jackie and team getting it together, and looking forward to continue working with you all to implement that and move it forward. So move on to the next item, which I think is just other business. So anything here, Jackie?
I don't have anything for other business. Andrea, did you have anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that we have our regional pedestrian plan. We're updating that right now. And if we didn't send out a flyer with the invite already, that will be coming after this meeting. If you could help us share that out on your social media, your town websites, anywhere else that you think is helpful that people are gonna see. We're really trying to get as much public feedback as possible on what the public wants for walking improvements in their communities.
Oh, and I did have one item I forgot. The SIP meetings, the MassDOT Capital Improvement Program meetings are upcoming, and we are going to follow up with a finalized date for those meetings shortly.
Thanks, Jackie. Yeah, that's great. Oh, go ahead. Any other business from any other members?
This is Alan again. I just want to make a quick comment that SRPEDD has been showing what I consider substantial growth increase in employees, and I am overjoyed with the success and what they've been able to do and how they continue to improve. And I think they all should be congratulated for what they do. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Alan.
I'll second that. Not officially, but just in general.
And I should announce that Alan, and if I hope this is okay. I was hoping this was not his last meeting, but this may be his last meeting with us on the MPO, but we're hoping to kind of bring him back to the JTPG. And he's been very helpful, and we're very appreciative to have him on multiple boards.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Alan. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, just acknowledge I worked with you over the years, and I know Steve Wolfel always looks forward to the back and forth of these meetings with you as well. So I'll pass along to him. I know he always mentions your name when he talks about Southeast Mass MPO meetings, and you've been a great partner and great to work with over the years. So thank you for your service and for your participation in the MPO. It's been excellent.
Remind Steve he still owes me a dinner at Kinfolk's.
I will. Yeah, I feel like that was a long overdue. I don't know. All right. So with that, we can move on to the next one, which is just the date and time for next meeting. Have that as May 21st at 1 p.m. Is that right, Jackie? Yep.
Correct.
Okay, great. So we'll plan on that. Again, we'll be endorsing the tip. So important to have a quorum there for folks. And yeah, with that, we can move on to adjournment. I'll ask for a motion and second to
Motion to adjourn, Alan.
Thank you. There's a second. All right. I think we can do this by voice vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. We are adjourned. So thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the nice weather, and we'll see you back here in May.